Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and directed him. You must not take a wife from the Canaanite woman. Okay, so remember this is in the previous chapter, his mother's plan in trying to make it sound that Jacob needs to go up to Haran because of the evil wives of Esau. And so he calls him in, he tells him, go there, don't take a wife from here. Verse 2, arise, go to Paddan Aram to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take as your wife from there one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. So he's sending him to go to Bethuel, his grandfather, and to take a wife from there, one of Laban's daughters. Now, was Bethuel still alive? When Rebekah left, he was still alive, yes, but seemingly already quite old. And by now he might be dead. But, I mean, he was still the clansman, kind of. He's Rebekah's, his mother, so his grandfather. And so from this is now where Isaac is telling him. Unlike in the case of Abram telling his servant, where it just said it needs to be kinsman, in this case Isaac is very clear, it needs to be one of the daughters of Laban. Verse 3, God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may become a company of people. So now Isaac is giving more blessing. He already gave the big blessing and now he's giving more. And these kinds of blessings is now sounds a lot like the blessings that God gave to Abram, God gave to Isaac himself. Okay, so I guess by now, I would take it that by now Isaac knows how everything, the wind is blowing here, right? He's already sold his birthright. Isaac got Jacob got the birthright. Jacob got the blessing. So most likely that would imply that the promise of God to Abram, the promise of God to himself, would then go on to Jacob. Okay, so now he's giving Jacob this by saying, so make him fruitful and multiply, be a company of peoples. Okay, this is the same that God promised to Abram, to Isaac. Verse 4, may he give the blessing of Abram to you and to your offspring with you, that you may take possession of the land of your sojournings that God gave to Abram. So the second part of it is always remember the land. Okay, so now in this verse he's saying as well that may God then give you this land, okay, and that you take possession of this land, the land that God gave to Abram. Okay, that's always like, of course God gave this land to Abram, and then, although ultimately then God as well promised to Isaac, and now in this case now Isaac is telling this to Jacob, but God is going to promise it to him as well. Verse 5. Thus Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Paddan Aram to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. Okay, so he packs up his stuff and he goes. This is where he's going. He's going to, his father sent him with his father's blessings now. Although, as I mentioned in the previous chapter, that Isaac most likely knew what his wife is getting at, where all of this is going, and the reason for all of this. And maybe as well he felt that this is a good idea. Esau might do something, so this is best. He can't always be there to protect him. And as well maybe he felt a little bit of guilt for not looking after both of them and trying to get them wise, what he's supposed to do. So it made him more willing to then submit to his wife, and doing the right thing. Although the right thing would have been to send a servant to go there, as Abram did, and bring a wife back from there, as Abram did. But yeah, I think Isaac maybe in a sense of he kind of understood what is going on, and he, after not getting a wife for Esau, although he loved Esau, maybe he might have been then, or at least seeing where it's all going and it's all bad, he might then have been intended on doing something for Jacob, getting him the right wife. He didn't, but now he is thinking of it and knowing that Esau is now hating his brother after everything happened. Maybe then he felt like, okay, this is now a good idea, this is a good excuse. Rather than sending a servant, I will send Jacob away. Let him go and find himself a wife there, but there, at least I tell him we're supposed to. So maybe it might have played. We don't, again, this is now getting into Isaac's minds with mights, maybes, and whatever, and we don't know. It's just I'm giving you a possible scenario, a possible reason why he acted differently than his father. But he was a different person as his father. Yeah. Verse 6. Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he directed him, you must not take a wife from the Canaanite woman, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and gone to Padan Aram. So when Esau saw that the Canaanite woman did not please Isaac his father, Esau went to Ishmael and took as a wife, besides the wife he had, Mahalat, the daughter of Ishmael, Abram's son, the sister of Nebaioth. Okay, so Esau then, lo and behold, finds out. Like I say, Esau was maybe not the most intelligent cookie in the jar kind of idea. Was he blind to the fact that his other wives already created so many problems for his parents? I'm pretty sure they would have spoken out against him, because normally it's the in-laws are wrong, the daughter's always right, and if there are problems, they would have been gossiping, they would have been telling stories, they would have been groaned and moaned to the husband. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but they created. So something odd somewhere. So most likely, yeah, Esau wasn't very good at discerning or dissecting or understanding others. And maybe he was just, didn't care about it. As long as he can go out into the woods and, into the fields and hunt and find something to eat. Maybe that's all he cared about, and the rest, well, that's not so important. Maybe not, we don't know. But either it's just he was not that intelligent, or he didn't understand people, or he just didn't care because all he cared about was his hunting. He for sure didn't care about his firstborn, right? Because that is sold. He cared about the blessing, but that's already lost. So now he heard that his father told his brother to go to Padan Aram and to take a wife from there. And he blessed him in this process as well. And he told him that he must not take a Canaanite woman, right? Like Esau did. And then it says, and Jacob obeyed, right? So he obeyed his mother, right? But his mother played the story now so as to be able to get the father to go with. So it's actually his mother's idea, which she put into the head of her father. Now the father thinks it's his idea, and so it's stated as if he's obeying now both parents, which actually all the time this is just Rebekah's idea, but the seed planted in Isaac's head that it ultimately kind of became his idea, and or at least that's what he thought. So he sent Jacob away, and that he obeyed. So what, as a result, what did Esau do? He went to Ishmael, and he took one of Ishmael's daughters as a third wife, at least, right? So not just a Canaanite, but taking one of Ishmael's daughters. So it's like like family, right? It's like from the same clan, as if. But this is not a question. Okay, so Ishmael is as well the son of Abram, so I'm like taking from the same clan. No, they knew the blood between and the feuds between ultimately Ishmael and Isaac, and how Isaac most likely would not have been, might not have, or would not have approved of this. And Esau knew this, and so So how we know it's negative is because of how the text is stating here. He's clearly stating that then he understood that they didn't like his wife because they were Canaanites, right? So he wanted to then to do something that will even hurt them more by taking a daughter of Ishmael. Now, I mean, I guess the question might arise: did he maybe think in his head that Ishmael is as well family, and so one of her daughters would be like as well, like going to Padan and Aram or Aran and get a daughter of Laban. Now, the reason I don't, I mean, it's a possibility, but the reason I don't think it's like that is because, in a sense, the simple reason is that Isaac didn't say, okay, you have a choice. Either go there and get your wife, or go here and get your wife. Okay? He didn't say that. He just said, you go there. Okay, so it's a clear direction of. So this can't be just a question of, oh, okay, maybe my father said I need to get a family member, so I'll go and get a family member there. So he's actually trying to do something good here. No, he is not. He heard they're all bad, so he just thought after all of this had happened, he can't do anything at the moment against Jacob, right? But he can do something against the family members left here, and that is his father and his mother. More importantly, his father out of spite, where his father's actually innocence is not guilty. I mean, sure, he's guilty. I've explained that already, the why. But yeah, sure, very much trying to get more back at both of them, but maybe more so even at his mother. Okay, just on a side note here, how Rebekah played Isaac here, played him perfectly. She knew. I always think Russian women are in Russian culture in general. The men are still like the men, the woman. So women can't always get what they want by just asking for something. The husband must like to say no. So they always kind of need to come through a back door kind of idea to ask for something, so that the husband will know that they're really asking, like plant it in his head that he's actually the one thinking about it. I remember there's this Russian comedy series, this short skits, where this woman, she wanted to buy a dog, and she started off by she wants this big dog, and then the husband no, and so she's like kind of crying, and then going for a smaller dog, and again kind of no, and just crying more, and going smaller dog, and crying, and the husband's like getting, and then she got to this small terrier, and he's exasperated. I mean, that's not happening. He's like on the other side of the phone, so only see the wife speaking and holding the dog actually, and then ultimately he gave in, because by now there is he's so well, at least he's not getting the big dog or even smaller dogs, but just the smallest one, so he's not really giving in to her, right? And then she, remember this, like, she turns like, yeah, I got what I wanted. Because she knew, starting with the small dog, then he's going to say no, and that's that. But starting with what she didn't want, and then by the time she reached the smallest one, which she actually did want, then her husband would be exasperated, or he would then like feel as if he's the one that attained the victory. Kind of like Rebekah did here for Isaac, like manipulated him into agreeing basically to her idea to save her son.